Welcome to Grimscote Manor here in Coleshill, where I'm going to meet one of the owners, Steve Cuddy, who turned a derelict property into what is now a fabulous boutique hotel. Hi Steve, how are you?
How are you doing, Pete? You all right, mate?
I'm very well, thanks. You?
I'm good, I'm fine, thank
Grand.
you. Shall we go and have a little chat?
Love to, let's go.
We'll have a cup of coffee now.
Thanks. Steve, let's start off and we'll go back to the year 2000 when yourself, Gordon and Gillian looked at this venue, albeit, as you said, derelict to me a while ago. What on earth possessed you to buy this building?
I think sometimes when you come from, when you want to aspire to do something, you want to be something. I think I drove past this when I was 19. And I always loved this house. Always loved it, and I thought it would be. I know it was at the time. I drove my little green minivan, and I thought I'd love to own that. I remember seeing people cut the grass and different things. So when the opportunity came along, and Jill was very keen. Gord maybe not so much, but we knew that we sort of amalgamated and incorporated our funds and everything that we had. We could just about afford to buy it. So that's what we did it, and also it was completely derelict, and we got a massive reduction in the final asking price, or the original asking price.
Mm-hmm. And I guess with yourself and Gordon being builders by trade, that was a challenge for you as well with this building.
Yeah, I think any good builder likes a challenge, and this is one hell of a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But we knew we were capable of doing it. It was just down to finance, and it was just down to sort of. We knew. I think we initially gave ourselves a 6-year plan to renovate it, and try to do something with it that would also help it generate an income. It had some bed and breakfast, so we knew that we could. We were already running 2 bed and breakfasts, so we could immediately take those guests and bring them here. That would give us an income initially. So we were off and running before we had an income coming in as soon as we moved in. But we had to do a bit of work. They moved in, that worked well. Had some income. We still kept on with the building trade outside. Jill kept her catering company, and that's how we sort of ran it and did a little bit of renovating as we went.
So Gillian's background was catering.
Yeah, without Jill, we wouldn't have bought the place, because it would be pointless, because you need someone with her strength and her capabilities to be able to, and the quality that she brings to the table. She brings a lot of quality. I know, not looking at it, you wouldn't think so, but she does. What we were trying to do, we knew initially what we'd have to do was do it cheap and cheerful, bums on beds, get as much income as possible, and keep the overheads to a minimum. Use Jill's skills and Gordon and myself, and we would just work together and build what we could, and what we could afford to.
So Gillian with her catering skills, you with your building skills, a great combination to come together, and you've mentioned on doing a B&B. So tell us a little bit about how you started off as a B&B.
B&B was already there.
Okay.
Or we were led to believe it was there, because we bought it from an estate agent who led us to believe that it was there.
But I also understood, sorry to interrupt, that it was a derelict building.
Yeah, this was derelict.
Right.
When I say derelict, it had been vandalised. So it had been because right, okay. I don't want to go into it, but basically next door wasn't what it was meant to be. But it looked like what it was meant to be, but it was far from that. I'll try to generalise it as much as possible. This was a house, but it was very badly. It was in just a bad state because it had been vandalised. It had been left open. It was unoccupied, so everything had been vandalised. Kids had been in. Lights were torn. In a generally bad state of repair, which was sort of putting people off as well. So that sort of worked in our favour.
And talking of in your favour, I believe at that time the M6 toll, or the Northern Relief Road, was being built, and I understand you had a number of workforce here in the B&B.
Yeah. As far as the toll road is concerned, the time was perfect. We had an endless supply of men turning up. I don't know what they were turning up for, but they were turning up.
So how long were they here for? In total?
We had. I think we had about, at some stage, I think we had about 30 people stopping next door that we just basically made it dormitory style. And they were for about 3.5 years, which was really good because that enabled us to get the general basis of the building repaired, the landscaping done, the new entrance done. So yeah, that was it really.
So that's a nice little build-up to Grimscote Manor, because you had those in situ for three and a half years. Nice B&B, bringing in a nice income to be able you to be doing stuff around the hotel. So when they left, what happened then?
Well, unfortunately, when they left, we then were in a position where we had no guests whatsoever. It went completely dead for 6 months. And even though we were trying to bring an income in by ourselves, Jill doing the catering, me doing the building work, with Gordon, myself doing the building work, it wasn't sufficient to keep the overheads paid. So we were sort of running into debt with it really, but then we had to decide what we did with the bed and breakfast. Do we convert it to a house? Do we do whatever? And we thought, no, we'll give it a shot. What we'll do, we'll just divide it off into rooms, make 7 or 8 rooms, and see if we can change our customer base. And that's what we did. I think we spent about whatever savings we had, plus a few credit cards and everything. Spent about 50 grand on it, converted it, and it worked. In all fairness, we had a different level of guests stopping with us. And it was generating not a lot, but enough to make the balance up between us working and Jill working and the bed and breakfast. It sort of balanced itself out, so it was manageable.
Now, when I first met you, Steve, here at Grimscote Manor, I remember in the field, fenced off, but there was a small marquee. Tell us a bit about the marquee.
Well, when we finished the rooms, a friend of mine, Jerome, came to me and he said he was getting married and could he hold his wedding here? And I said yes, no problem at all. So we went off and we bought an old marquee, like an old circus marquee. It was a bit tatty, but it was cheap. So we put that in there and we realised, having had his wedding here, there was possibly a market for weddings, because when people come in to see the marquee, they come in, oh, do you do weddings? And we sort of thought, maybe if we do them cheap and cheerful, we can do the same basis. If we've got 10 rooms, or 8 rooms, whatever it was, and we can host a wedding, rooms, grounds, jobs are good. And that's what we did.
So you saw that from that small one, you see the potential from there that you could actually, we could actually do some good business here in the summer with a bigger marquee, and that took place, I believe.
Yes, it did, and that's what we did. We had half a dozen a year, but it makes a difference. It adds to the income that we had. It made a difference. It made our lives a bit more comfortable, and we weren't so reliant on the rooms being filled, so we could also fill. The rooms were filled between Monday through to Thursday, and then it would die off over the weekend. So we knew the weddings would fill that gap, even if it only did 10 or 11 a year. We would be more than happy over the summer period, save a bit of cash, and then it worked. That's what we did.
Mm-hmm. And I also think that one of the attractions here with weddings in the marquee is you have a lovely bandstand, an area for civil weddings.
Yeah, we decided to landscape it because obviously we knew that we got rid of the old marquee. We bought a new one. We had a horse. Georgina had her horse here, Zini, who we decided that the best thing to do then is, with the council regulations, apparently you're allowed to do, I think it's 12 or 20, one of those, I don't know, 15 weddings a year, so we could pop the marquee up. So we had to get a really sort of efficient way of popping the marquee back down. We landscaped it, spent 100 grand on it, landscaped it, and we did the marquee, and that was fine, but we got a little bit fed up of taking the thing up and down, so we left it up.
Okay, so we've now got a big marquee in situ, great for the summertime, as I mentioned, where you've got the weddings in there and that opportunity, subject to the weather, of course, where there's the bandstand. So we've got a successful out there grand. Let's move in, if we can, back into the hotel itself, because I remember there was a small kitchen, which I know we'd actually sat in and had a conversation with years before, and then there was time to then renovate that and expand. So could you tell us a little bit more about the expansion inside the hotel?
Yeah, we started to occur. We had a little bit of a problem with the council. They initially came along and said that we hadn't got planning consent for the bed and breakfast. So obviously we're slightly concerned about that. A long story, very short, is we dealt with it.
Right.
Few problems, but we resolved them. And ultimately we ended up with the George Lewis suite, 10 rooms, and we gained planning consent through something called lawful use, the council, obviously. I'm very happy with that.
So what happens in the George Lewis suite?
So
what is its usage?
Yeah, well, the George Lewis suite, we were approached by civil ceremonies because obviously they could see the marquee, so they came to us, or whichever way around it was. We got together anyway, and they said, "Oh, you got a lovely room there. Well, you can hold 60 people, and then you've got the bandstand. It's all lovely, blah blah blah." Had a little bit more problem with the council, saying that we technically hadn't got permission for it, but we resolved it.
And likewise, then, as you said previously, you overcome that.
Yeah, we overcome that by spending £100,000.
Okay, you talked about the George Lewis suite, and then we look at previously you've been doing some extension on the other side of the hotel. Well, I think it's the Waldron suite and the rooms up above. You want to tell us a little bit about that? And I'm asking that in particularly because of your building experience, that you actually built it with yourself and colleagues.
Yes, I've spent the last 5 years effectively now building that extension. When I initially started it, obviously I had Gord, but Gord wanted to he moved basically effectively before then, so I was going to have to build it by myself. Myself and one labourer. And we had quotes in of 1.2 million was the cheapest to build it, and I thought I could do that. I could do that easily. So I thought it's only going to take me 5 years. I initially thought it would take 3. My plan was we wouldn't do the oratory, we'll leave that till later. We got planning consent for the extension, but we wouldn't break it up into second rooms, I said to Jill. If we can get 6 rooms up on the first floor, on the top floor done, and then we'll work our way, they'll pay. That was our plan. But we've obviously had to build the erection first. We all like a good big erection, don't we? So we built the erection, and then that's what we occupied that. But that took me 2.5 years to get to that stage.
Okay, so we've mentioned the George Lewis suite, the Waldron suite, and you built it yourself with the rooms up, and then obviously I've noticed there's quite a lot of work been done for the fire exit going outside. That must have took an awful lot, but then I noticed at the rear, and for those people who may know this site before it was Grimsgate Manor, that there used to be a swimming pool. Now I think from the look of it you've actually turned that into a car park.
I did. We used the swimming pool. The swimming pool was sort of a slight advantage to us because the extension itself was subterranean. We basically knocked the swimming pool wall out and built a ramp, and then we drove down to it. And that's why we had to dig it out, because we had to put footings, especially the one end, and it was like a 6 metre drop from top to bottom, so we had to retain all down. Every time it rained it would wash away. Everything that could go wrong initially went wrong, as most building projects do. But it's a lot more difficult when you're basically doing it by yourself, because if you don't do it, nothing ever gets done. So I was having to work in all conditions, all hours, non-stop, and also you want to remember as well, no finance to start with, relying on a building supplier, Camabest, brilliant friends I've known from childhood, who then said, I will give you £100,000 worth of materials, get your extension built. That I owe absolute total gratitude towards them.
I think that people, when they come along to visit Grimsgate Manor and they see into the Walden Suite and the rooms the above and the car park, I think they'll be quite impressed with the work that you've done as a builder.
They would, if they knew I did it.
Well, they've had the opportunity now to know that you did.
I have been forbidden to tell people.
Well, we've now got it. When people view this, they'll now know that you were the main builder of here with your experience.
No.
And
This
expertise.
will be edited out by Jill.
Well, we won't go on that. I think we'll keep it in, so don't worry about that.
You promise?
When we come back to
promise,
the,
Peter?
we do. When we come back to the weddings, because you mentioned with the marquee and the bandstand, great in the summer, and you've mentioned the George Lewis suite, so you have the opportunity then. Actually, to have potentially would it be 2 weddings on the same day, one in one room, one in the other, in the marquee, or is it just one?
We only do one wedding.
Right.
Jill insists on only one wedding. We want to go for quality. Jill provides a sort of all-in package to take the pressure off. I think it's a very good idea myself. That what she actually does is when we do a wedding here, we supply everything. We basically try to make, or Jill does, not myself. Jill does make the bride and the groom just to make it as easy as possible. And people don't fully appreciate that sometimes. They want to get involved with it, but Jill is an expert in what she does. She's very caring, very thoughtful. She puts a lot of attention to detail. She's a bit arty, a bit annoying as well, but we have to forgive
So
that.
you have enough rooms, and as I say, you can do the weddings in the summer in the marquee. You can do daytime and evening in George Lewis Suite and the Walden Suite or whatever.
Yes.
Great. Okay, Steve, we've talked a lot about the hotel itself. Let's now actually turn to TV programmes that the hotel has appeared on. The first one being The Hotel Inspector. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, we did go on a Hotel Inspector, yes. And the reason why we did it, because people think, it's really bad, you're going to look bad, what have you. Yes, there is always a possibility of that, if you allow them to. But to be honest with circumstances, we had to do it. Through financial, through other reasons, council, whatever else. But mainly because we knew it would be good publicity, and as long as we could control it to a large extent and make ourselves look too bad, we were fine, which I think we did. If you've ever watched the programme, I don't think we come back across too badly. It was just one or two things that happened in the background that really certain production companies should be, let's put it this way, they should hopefully one day they'll have a conscience and apologise.
Let's look at, we're slightly going back into the marquee because there was a charity ball.
Yeah, you were there, Peter.
Yes, I was indeed. I was the DJ compere.
Annoying me with the microphone.
I was enjoying that. It was a good night.
Hogging onto the microphone.
And you did a speech as well.
Well, yes, and that wasn't shown in the programme, was it, Peter? You were there.
I was there, but I can't remember that. It's a while ago. But I'll have to have a look the next time it
You
comes.
wouldn't relinquish that microphone.
Well, it's still on terrestrial TV, so I'll still have the opportunity to have another look to see if you was on there. I thought you was.
No, let me introduce
Nicely
you.
moving
Let
back
me
to
introduce
the
you.
Hotel
You
Inspector.
Go on.
We're now going into the next one, which was the 4 in the Bed on Channel 4. That was another good programme.
It was. Well, again, Jill did not want to do it. She said to me, I'm not going to do that. You're going to look far too good. How does that work? They're not interested in me. I'm just going to go along and take the mickey a little bit.
Talking of the Mickey, who on earth thought of wasn't it a bunny? A rabbit or something?
You know what? They said that was one of the best ideas they've had.
It was good,
And
even I
it was a good
enjoyed it.
opportunity to shoot Paul.
Yes, indeed. Tell us a little about the rabbit, the idea of
Well,
that.
I said to the production company, I've got this idea. I don't know whether you're interested in it. Basically, it's called Alice in Wonderland Shooting the Bunny. So I explained to them. They said, yeah, I love it. So that's what we did. They said, he put Paul in a dress, not in a dress, he'd like a dress, but put him in a bunny outfit, and then shot him from a distance. All safety, everything was done controlled. It was all done properly. We had a safety officer here. Obviously, it's all being recorded. You couldn't have someone being shot and actually dying because they wouldn't tolerate that, would they?
And the nice thing was that I know from the programme that there obviously are four venues which you then each go and have a look at. And it was nice to know that you actually won that particular programme.
Peter, we couldn't have lost it. They were that bad. They said it themselves. They were nothing in comparison. They saved us to last. They knew that Meg and Andy, lovely couple, in fairness, a bit deluded, but that's what they're interesting people. You're always going to have interesting characters on programs, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what. But they were good. We obviously won. It was a very. She did cheat a little bit. She was just unnecessary. Marked us down. £35 was it? Huh. Unacceptable.
I think the interesting bit as well, Steve, that people are able to see the run of the Hotel Inspector and you winning that 4 in their bed programme, which I believe they're still rerunning those on Freeview TV. So it'll be interesting to see how, especially people want to have a laugh about that hare running around, rabbit running around. That was quite a good idea, I have to say. A lot of people talked about that to me after it was filmed or aired on there.
I like shooting people as well.
Just coming back.
That's why I'm so good at it, if you noticed it.
I'd like to know, what are your plans for the future?
Do nothing.
Do nothing?
Do nothing. Rest.
Right.
I'm going to rest.
Now, there must surely be some plans that you've got in mind.
I told you before.
There must be some plans that you've got in mind.
I have got lots of plans.
Right. And
none of which I intend to do.
Right. Or you wish to talk about, although you have talked about an orangery some moments ago.
Yeah, I know I've got, in all seriousness, I am going to build an orangery, which we've got planning consent for as well. And we're working on it now, actually. We've started it now, so that's our next project. And then we're going to upgrade the marquee. And we've got other things that we're going to do, but
so
it just depends. At the moment, orangery, marquee, that's the next 12 months to sort
that's probably enough to go. That's replacing the size, the big one that you've got now.
Yes. So we'll not replace it, just renew it, I think.
But the one you haven't mentioned, Steve, is the just before we got into this, quite rightly so, this time of relaxation after all the hard work you've done on building what I can only say is an impressive hotel, boutique hotel, is the terrace. That's a new addition to the hotel.
The terrace. Right, okay. Let me tell you about the terrace, right? I said to Joe, I'm going to build a terrace, right? And I'm going to put a pagoda. Gothic columns. I don't want that, it's going to be dark. We'll face this a picture, Peter. We're going, that sounds nothing like Joe.
It doesn't actually, but carry on. You were talking about the terrace.
So I said, no, it'll be fine, Jill. It won't be dark. It's also, you're going to create some shade because the sun comes up in that area. Also, you need somewhere that people can have photographs taken. It will definitely work. Got witnesses to prove it as well that I actually said this, and Jill was like, oh, it's going to be dark. Whatever. Anyway, it's fine. As you can see, it turned out well. A lot of work involved with that as well.
Well, I have to say, Steve, the time I've known you and viewing the hotel itself, I personally am very impressed with what you and your colleagues have done.
Colleagues?
Marky, your colleagues. Well, there was
name the colleagues.
Was it Paul and Matt?
Right then, look at me in a straight face.
Paul and Matt.
I say it again without the smile.
Paul and Matt.
You're still smiling.
I'm still smiling. I'm always a happy person. So I'm quite impressed. I'm sure people, when they get the opportunity to pop along and see for themselves. And talking of seeing for themselves, I'll be very interested to come back in, say, a year or two's time to see the orangery and the marquee and see how it's gone from success to even bigger success. Steve, thanks very much indeed for the interview. It's been good and very interesting to see how you've gone from 2000 right up to 2019. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, Steve. All the best for the future.
And it's been a pleasure as well, Peter.
Thanks.